It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to let them know. Where you let us crunch the numbers while you crush the competition. So grab your playbooks and crack a cold one, because here's your hosts, Teak and Baney.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the podcast. We're here with your sits today. I know week 7 is upon us here, and we kind of knocked it out of the park last week, boys, with our sits.
I think it's our strongest episode week after week, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Boys, I can't believe it's week 7 already. Jeez, it feels like we were just talking about deep dives before the season.
Yeah. You had your scuba gear on, and we were talking crazy.
Oh, it's too cold to go back to Presque Isle, so.
Yeah. But you know the deal. We're going to go around the horn here. Starting with the QB position, Baney.
Yeah, so I told you on the starts episode, I looked at the waiver wires to decide how I was going to put this together, and I was looking at Desmond Ridder, and I was like, no way anybody would start Desmond Ridder. And then I looked at his last couple weeks. He's had back-to-back 300-yard games, and London's starting to get activated and all this stuff, and got to smack myself back to reality. You're not going to start Desmond Ridder. Bucs defense logged numerous sacks and turnovers in every single game so far this season, every week. And they've done it against Goff. They've done it against Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts, etc. Those are all better quarterbacks than Desmond Ridder. And, yeah, just sit them. Don't talk yourself into it. I don't care what the bye weeks. I don't care if you had Anthony Richardson. Now you don't. Don't put Ridder in your lineup this week. Badge?
Yeah, with bye weeks upon us, a lot of stream starts coming. Ridder had a respectable 28 points 2 weeks ago, 23 points last week. He could add another touchdown and hit my over bet, but he didn't. He threw a pick. I don't want to get into that. But, yeah, this game I'm eyeing the under all day. Tampa Bay is a very respectable defense. I expect a big game from Bijan Robinson. I think we're going to finally see that monsters game out of him, so I don't think Ridder's going to be much of a factor this game. So, Teak, I'll let you take it over. I know you know best about your Atlanta Falcons. You watch every game.
You're going to have growing pains with this QB. I don't expect no one to start Ridder at all, no matter what week it is. He's shown progress, which is nice. The back-to-back 300-yard games, I know everybody in the beginning of the season was like, you have all these weapons. Why don't you use them? Well, they're using them, and they're still coming up short. That one pick, dude, I can't get out of my head, dude. That one pick in the end zone that he just threw up there for no reason. Like, throw it out of the back of the end zone. Throw it out of bounds. Something, dude. Just it's the growing pains as a rookie, and you got to just get through them. And if they really think that highly of him, which I think he's going to be here for the whole season, those growing pains are going to come with it.
Man, that killed my over, Teak. I thought we had it. Thought you were going to get the dub. Three picks last week, too?
3 picks. I don't care what anybody says about Atlanta's defense. Atlanta's defense made 3 stops to give Ridder that opportunity to win that game, man, and he just couldn't get it done. The one drive, man, I don't want to get into it. I'm going to get mad again. But, yeah. Pain. Badge?
Yeah, so am I going with my start right now? So
go ahead.
My sit of the week. You like that? No, I don't this week. So I'm sitting Kirk Cousins, if you didn't catch on to that reference. No Jefferson. Run game is sus. Cousins, without Jefferson last week, threw for 180 yards against the Bears, one of the worst defenses. I mean, even though they got the dub, this offense looks different without Jefferson. I mean, if they want to make the playoffs, they're without him for a minimum of 4 weeks. They're saying 4 to 6. They got to figure it out if they want to make a run. I know they got the dub, but it's not the same offense with him. Now they're coming against a very elite and very pissed off 49ers defense. I want no part of Cousins, no part of this offense this week. So my sit of the week, Kirk Cousins. I'm going to go up to my boy Baney.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 defenses we seem to highlight every single week that you just don't start a player against. And this week, he's running into the buzzsaw that is the 49ers defense. Absolutely do not start Kirk Cousins this week.
Yeah, I agree. This offense, man, looks completely different without Justin Jefferson. He's that much of a factor. And it's sad to say, like, no one could step up just even a little bit on that offensive side of the ball. Posting up 8 points against the Chicago defense is terrible. He's also my sit of the week as well. So I'm on board with that as well. I'm hoping Cousins could turn around, but this week I don't think is going to be the week to do that.
180 yards against one of the worst defenses in the league. Not going to cut it. Even though you got the dub, I know a dub's a dub, but
It's and that Niners defense is going to come mad this week, especially when the Browns mocked them. I don't know if you guys seen that coming out with the intro with the boom box when they were taking the field. So just to add salt to the wound there. But Baney for the running back position.
Yeah, this is going to be my shocker name of the episode, and that is going to be Fantasy Sweetheart of 2023, Zach Moss. We talked about the 49ers being a defense you can't start players against. Let's talk about the Browns being a defense you can't start players against. Browns defense only got up 1,000 yards through these previous games so far. 200 yards a game. I mean, it's the lowest since the 70s. I think Minshew's going to drown. I just think that there's going to be no way this offense survives, and it's not even bringing the fact that Taylor's back. These are the running back totals that have gone up against this Browns defense. CMC, 43 yards. Gus Edwards, 48 yards. Derrick Henry, 20. Harris, 43. Mixon, 56. Zach Moss has been a monster this year. I don't think this is a week that is going to continue. Yeah, like I said, that's not even talking about Jonathan Taylor. We don't know what that looks like. I'm not bringing that into it. Solely matchup-based Browns defense. That's all I got to say.
yeah, 100%. I mean, matchup, like you mentioned, Zach Moss being that fantasy sweetheart, 100%. And you mentioned Taylor. You got to imagine they're going to start easing him in week by week. But yeah, this matchup against this Browns defense, not ideal. I don't expect much out of the run game. Minshew has his work cut out for him. This is going to be a real test for the Colts. I mean, the only thing I can say is Browns just had that ultimate high. Usually this could be a trap spot for them. That's the only thing I'm saying. I mean, but the matchup says Sid Moss and Taylor and any running back for that matter. So, Teak?
Yeah, this defense is a high-powered defense, man. Just think, though, just a little off topic here. What if they didn't spend that guaranteed money on Watson and actually went all in and traded for Cousins? That team, dude, I don't know. I don't think Watson's the answer over there, but it's just sucks to waste that defense on potentially not even making playoffs. I know they squeaked out that win against the Niners, but if Watson continues not to play, I can't imagine them going up against tougher teams here down the road and being able to squeak in. But yeah.
I'm a firm believer. I mean, I watch the Browns, unfortunately, a lot because they're a division rival. But I believe there's a quarterback curse going on in Cleveland. I mean, it doesn't matter who they get. I mean, if you want someone's career to end badly, ship them to Cleveland. I don't know. There's something bad going on for quarterbacks up there.
Yeah, but moving on here, man. Who's your running back?
So, my sit first, I got a question for you guys. And Teak, you probably know the answer, and I'm sure Baney, you do too. But did you guys know that the Atlanta Falcons have not given up a rushing touchdown to a running back yet this season? Did you guys know that?
No,
They're one of about 2-3 teams.
Yeah, I believe 3. one of them being the Cleveland Browns. Falcons have not given up a rushing TD to a running back. They gave up one this year, and that was to Jared Goff. So that says something right there that I mentioned Goff, and the Atlanta Falcons defense did not give up a rushing touchdown to that rushing attack, the Lions rushing attack, one of the best in the league. So, Teak, I'm sure you can agree, this Falcons defense has been very, very underrated this year and sneaky stingy, sneaky good. No one's talking about them. No one's giving them the credit they deserve. That defense they got something going on there. I'm sure you're happy about it. I believe they're going to keep Rachaad White. Oh, I didn't mention that. Rachaad White is my sit, by the way. So they're going to keep Rachaad White and company in the backfield to pass block. I believe they're still not going to give up a rushing touchdown to a running back this year. Teak, I know you're itching to go, but I can't break the order. I'm going to pass it to Baney. My sit is Rachaad White against this very good, underrated, stingy Falcons defense.
Yeah, it's a player that I never really bought into this year in general. And it seems to be the game script in Tampa is to throw, and throw some more. So it's been that way for the past 2 years, and I don't think Rachaad White's done anything to make you believe in him anyway. So add that with your stats against the defense there. I think that is a great sit.
Yeah, I like the sit as well. Hopefully it comes to fruition. Rachaad White did have a blow-up game against the Bears week 2 with 21 fantasy points. But besides that, like Benny said, he hasn't really been much to talk about. If they do pass the ball, hopefully he's going to get targeted. He averages about 4 to 5 targets a game. So on that stat, hopefully if you are an owner, he gets those. If not, yeah, I like to sit, especially against my Falcons.
Oh, yeah, very underrated defense. Not talked about enough. And I noticed last week, Rachaad White, I was watching that game because I needed the points from him. I was in a tight battle. He was in there blocking a lot, pass blocking a lot against those Saints. I mean, I feel like it's going to do the same against this Falcons pass rush. So I think it's going to continue.
All right. And then moving to my sit for the running back position. I actually have Travis Etienne. He's been on a bit of a roll. The past 2 games, scored 2 TDs in each. He has a tough matchup against the Saints, who have the 3rd best ranked defense against the run. And they are also a team that haven't let a rushing touchdown yet. So I know we say it week by week on our starts and sits about this Saints defense and how they shut down the running backs. He's going to be a next man up for them, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's going to be tough sledding too because, Trevor's dealing with his knee injury as well. So it's going to be a lot on Etienne's shoulders. And if he's going to produce or not, I think is going to be the ultimate factor of what they win or lose this week. So it's a lot to watch, and it's a good defense to depend on a good week for Etienne. It's going to be tough sledding this week.
Yeah, how do you not plan for a guy who scored 2 TDs in back-to-back weeks is beyond me. So that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah. Very tough matchup here. I mean, if you can afford to sit Etienne, I mean, this matchup, I would do it. I mean, definitely, I'm not going to start him at FanDuel. Boys, give us a fucking sponsorship. We're here waiting. I want it. Give us a sponsorship, FanDuel. Etienne, you're not going to be in my lineup this week. Sorry, bud. Even though you've been hot, you were in my lineup last week. Thank you for that. I got a payday on there. Tough matchup. If you can afford to sit them, do it. I mean, the Saints defense, like Teak said, no joke.
All right, moving to the wide receivers, Baney.
Yeah, so there's constant defenses and constant players that we talk about that we constantly have to fade players because of. Jair Alexander is one of those players. Cortland Sutton is my sit this week, and that's mostly because Russell Wilson is an absolute liability. I really don't have much else to add to that. Cortland Sutton overall this year has been kind of reliable, but that being said, he's had some really, really bad games that have been hidden by touchdown production. A couple games with 2 catches, maybe 30 yards, but he gets a touchdown, so it saves you. I can't see him getting in the end zone this week against this defense, specifically if he draws the Jair Alexander matchup. It's going to be a tough day. Yeah, man, Russell Wilson, I think we could have ended the sit at that. What do you have? 95 yards passing and 2 interceptions last week. Can't work with that. You can't buy into wide receivers that are attached to that. So, yeah, dumpster fire, sit of the week badge.
Yeah, last week I had to start Sutton. Thank God he got in the end zone. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done anything. So if you have to start him again, you're praying for that. I mean, against solid cornerbacks, the Jets, he gave 2 points. Last week, again, that touchdown saved him at 14. This week, same thing. You got Alexander there. I feel it's going to be a similar story. You got to pray he gets in the end zone, makes a spectacular catch like he did last week. So Sutton, I don't need to start him this week. I'm not going to start him this week, and that's that. Teak?
Yeah, I do think he's going to draw that Alexander card. I really do, especially Jerry Jeudy being a disappointment for that team this year. He might be on his way out as well. So I do think Sutton draws that Alexander card, and I like the sit as well.
The boy Baney. So I'm going to go here, and it's going to be the quickest you've ever seen me. So I'm sitting Michael Pittman against the Browns. I hate to say it. I don't want to say it. The Browns defense is elite. They handed Brock and company their first loss of the season. Brock, his first loss ever. I'm not going to sit here and praise that Browns offense. I'm going to pass it to Baney. I'm going to let him do it. So my sit of the week, Michael Pittman against the Browns.
Yeah, Pittman is, I think, one of the names of like biggest surprises this year as far as fantasy production goes. Yeah, he's just getting a ton of targets and honestly making the most of it. This week, the only way that he, has a good week is if Cleveland gets up early and scores, and then the game script for the Colts is to throw the ball to try to get into it. But that being said, I can't see Minshew keeping a clean jersey this week, and it's tough. It's tough. We talked about Downs last week as being a start. I just don't see anybody in this Colts offense being a must start this week. It's just tough sledding against that defense. Very stingy defense. Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith. It's going to be a tough week for Gardner Minshew.
Here's the thing, man. Yeah, it's a tough matchup. He's also my sit. Just going off that. But it's also tough because the amount of targets he's getting. Like, I'm just going to rattle them off to you. Week 1, 11, 12, 11, 5, 7, 14. It's hard. It's really hard to shy away from those targets, man, especially when he only has 1 touchdown and he's still producing those fantasy points on a high scale. And I said in previous episodes, I got a lot of pushback on that draft pick. But it's hard to pass up a number 1 wide receiver somewhere, even though you don't like the QB, because they got to throw it to someone. And Michael Pittman's that guy. And Cleveland, I believe Cleveland's a different animal on defense. So I do like the sit this week.
And Mr. Pittman, I hope I'm wrong. I would be more than happy to see the red X next to mine and you blow those Browns up. I want to see 20 receptions, 20 targets. So I want to be wrong this week. So,
but yeah, that's my sit. Also, we'll go straight to the tight ends with Baney.
Yeah. So, mentioned this guy before. Unfortunately, when I mentioned him, he was on the starts list, and he had a monster week. The week that we chose to start him, Logan Thomas. That's the only week he's really done anything. And it seems to be Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin are just getting all the target share in Washington. Jahan Dodson's not even fantasy relevant, hasn't been all season. And that was somebody that was receiving the most praise out of this offense. So that being said, in order to be a fantasy relevant tight end, you got to be the top 1 top 2, top 3 option in the pass offense, and this guy's maybe 5. And it's tough. And the emergence of Robinson and Gibson in the pass game, I think, is the most damning side of Logan Thomas. I really wasn't expecting to see all the target share that Brian Robinson's getting this year. And to be honest with you, they're better offense when they do go through the running backs. You could talk yourself into it against the Giants defense. I mean, we went through all that in our starts already with Sam Howell, but I'm just not buying into Logan Thomas being a key part in this offense moving forward. So that's the reason for sitting him this week.
Yeah, that's a Giants defense, though. Giving themselves a little pat on the back after doing what they did to the Bills offense. I mean, that shocked me. I think that's going to create a little momentum, showing this Dable's defense is not going to roll over here. So especially if they got that Tyrod Taylor, that team's going to be hyped up. Your only hope is, I mean, Logan Thomas 2 games ago was 11 targets, I think. Those targets are there somehow. This team flops. Logan Thomas finds the end zone. But, I mean, after seeing what they did to the Bills offense, that's a tough start. So I see it. Tiki?
Yeah, I wasn't really big on Logan Thomas at all this year. I know Beatty hit on a start the 1 week, but like he said, he hasn't done much since. I just don't know. Giants defense is kind of flip-flop, man. They either give up a lot or they don't give up anything. So, yeah.
And I'm gonna give Baney some credit for calling that Logan Thomas game. So good call, Baney, with that start. 11 targets.
Fun little game to watch there.
I'm gonna toot it.
But moving on to you, Batch.
All right, moving on to me. I'm gonna get Teak excited here. So I'm not excited. Never mind. I'm gonna sit Sam Laporta. So maybe excited in a bad way, but the Ravens are allowing only 24 yards to opposing tight ends. So they're only giving 2 fantasy points to opposing tight ends as well. I mean, I'm a big Laporta fan. I know Teak is. I think Baney is. Rookie tight ends we touched on. If he finds the end zone this week, I don't know. The Ravens are very, very stingy and tough against playing these tight ends. Again, only 2 fantasy points per game. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Lions. I think the Ravens are going to pull it out and shut them down, even with that high-powered offense. I think this matchup is going to fail for the Lions. So I'm sitting Sam Laporta against the Ravens. Baney?
I very rarely outright disagree. I think this is one I'm going to push back on. The Ravens are coming back from London, no bye week. I think the Lions are going to smash, and I think Laporta's going to have a good game, to be honest with you. And it's just because I'm buying into this Lions offense wholeheartedly. I think Laporta's exceeded everybody's expectations. We were hoping he was going to be good. We didn't expect this. This has been wild. But the offense, I mean, they need him. So I think if the Lions win, it's because Laporta has a good game. That being said, if the Lions lose, then the Ravens did exactly what you just predicted, and they execute well on defense. And Kyle Hamilton and all those guys really show out on a week-to-week basis. But I think coming back from London, no bye week, it's going to be a tough draw to get, one of the best teams in the NFC this year. Who would have thought we'd be saying that about the Lions? So,
yeah. Real quick, take a little thought to the London thing. I think that's really going to affect the pace of the offense, in my opinion. I think the defense is still – I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I was actually eyeing the under. But, yeah, I see what you're saying, too, the London. I was looking at that in my bets, traveling like that, no bye week. That's tough to do. So I could see it. Ravens just always find a way to disappoint me. So when I want them to lose, they win, obviously, just like last week. But, yeah, I think the lag is going to be toward the offense.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to be Switzerland here. I'm not going to pick a side. I like Laporta as a player. I don't like the matchup. So that's what you're going to get out of me on this one. So I'm going to play Switzerland on this one.
No, I do see Beanie's point though with the London thing because I was eyeing that in the bets. So I hope Beanie's wrong because Ravens are 4-2.
All right. And to wrap it up with my tight end, hopefully I am wrong. Hopefully this is reverse psychology. This guy gets up and at him. He had back-to-back good weeks so far. He's got a lot of haters on X, formerly known as Twitter. Kyle Pitts is my sit-em. I think the good times are ending here this week. I don't like the matchup for him. Yes, Desmond Ridder is coming off 2 300-yard passing games. I think Arthur Smith seen those 3 picks and was like, we are going to get back to running the football. I really do. So that's the reason for my sit. Hopefully I'm totally wrong and Ridder continues to sling that thing because I rather him learn from his mistakes while he still can before he doesn't have a job.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with the reverse psychology here because I have Jonnu Smith, and boy, let me tell you, he came in clutch last week. I'm hoping that I can ride that train back-to-back weeks as a guy who struggled with the tight end position all year in fantasy. Yeah, I hope we see weeks 1 through 4 Kyle Pitts, and yeah, I mean for you, hopefully the Falcons just win and Kyle Pitts just doesn't get any targets or anything like that. So.
I won't hear the end of it from my family if we lose to Baker and the boys. I'll tell you that because they are all Browns fans, and I'm already preparing, and I don't want that at all. So,
Real quick before I go on my thoughts, did your family miss Baker, the Browns fans? Did they say anything?
my family actually, yes. My dad misses Baker a ton. My brother, I don't think so much. He's kind of the typical fan where if you're on the team, just like you, yeah, they're the greatest of all time. And when they leave, they're the worst. So.
Yeah, I mean, especially when your team guarantees $250 million to a guy who doesn't even want to play football. I mean, he's medically cleared to play. He doesn't play. And Baker's stats really weren't bad, man. You got a guy who's playing through a torn labrum, some ankle injuries, and he still wants to be there and play. And then they reward him by shipping him off to, Carolina and all this stuff. It's just a shame, man.
I think they moved on quicker than they should have. When I don't know what was going on with the whole Odell thing and Jarvis Landry thing. I think once those two left and they got this new offense, I think Baker would have fitted nicely with this offense.
Yeah, people forget this, and Baker produced 1,000-yard season for Jarvis and Odell together, and they acted like it was the biggest failure of all time because Odell got hurt, because Odell didn't produce. I don't understand. I think locker room pick favorites, and Cleveland did what Cleveland does, and they blundered a quarterback. And
yeah, not to keep going off topic, but I showed you that clip at work when Baker got hit out of bounds. He got up. Everyone was booing. Then he got up, started doing the first down thing. That stadium erupted. That was his home. He had home and auto at that stadium. Those fans loved him. I was happy he was gone because that team, they believed. They loved him. He brought the energy. So I'm happy he's gone. Browns, I don't like that decision either. But a lot of people did at the time. So back to Pitts. I hope you're wrong, but I don't think you're going to be. He had 15 points in the past 2 weeks. I have him in the league, our league. He won me my week last week because I won by a point. So we sat Ridder. We talked about that matchup. I think it's going to be a Bijan day. I think he's going to have that monster game. So, yeah, sitting Kyle Pitts. Well, I can't sit Kyle Pitts in our league, but in FanDuel, I'm sitting. Good sit.
All right. And that wraps up our sits episode. 60% of you, I'm going to say it every episode because you guys ain't listening. And the more I say it, I feel like it's going to come around. Subscribe to the YouTube.
Thank you for
is
listening to
totally
another
free.
episode of the Let 'em Know Fantasy
Please.
Football Podcast.
Please.
Join our community and follow us on all socials,
the
or
episode
keep up
also.
with the episodes on YouTube,
Do the boys a
Spotify,
solid.
or Apple Podcasts.
Till the next one.
Handle you too.